The rosters are not finalized yet, so perhaps these are a progress report and not a report card. But today, we're grading the transfer portal acquisitions of both football and basketball.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can sign up today and get $200 back in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Head on over to FanDuel.com in order to get started. Happy Wednesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, today we're going to get into some transfer portal grading, a tad bit premature, but I think with the idea that you know where the rosters will be finalized here in the coming weeks, I feel comfortable going ahead and dishing out some grades for what Will Wade has done on the basketball side in the transfer portal and what Dave Dorn and crew have done on the football transfer portal side here in just a couple minutes. We will start with basketball because obviously that is hot on the press. We'll also begin in the backcourt. So I'll go down and read the guards that we picked up. We're going to give our overall grade for the players that we brought into the program, and then we'll each choose who we perceive to be our favorite addition in both the backcourt and the front court. So the backcourt additions as of right now, and we'll put an asterisk in just a second. You have Allen Breed joining Will Wade from McNeese, and you have Trey Holloman from the Michigan State Spartans coming down to run the show at the point. The asterisk, obviously, is PJ Haggerty. He's not a completed addition yet, but we do feel really good that NC State is in position to do that. So I suppose we'll give our grade without PJ Haggerty and with PJ Haggerty. So Kenton, first, without, hypothetically, give me your backcourt grade of who we've acquired.
Without, I would say a B. I would say in terms of strictly portal, because that doesn't include Abel, and
Right.
you know we're not including Haggerty for the sake of this. I would say a B. I would say I like these two guys. I would say they make your backcourt better. I would not say, hey, I love these two so much that I don't need nobody else. Which to me, an A+ is like anything you put with them is like, this is the greed they talk about in the Bible. This is just obscene amounts of gluttony that we don't even need. I wouldn't say that we're there. So I would say without Haggerty, I'd say these two are B. Holloman, the floor general that we've been looking for quite some time. Breed, a guy who can fill it up at a high rate. You know, you're looking at two guys that you say they fill roles that were desperately needed by this team. And let's be very honest. This goes for the front court and back court. When you are building a team from scratch, I am not going to turn down anybody that's talented, anybody that I believe, hey, they can get it done at the Power Four, particularly ACC level. So again, I would say these two guys can do so. B for me.
I'm with you. I'm also going with a B that's without PJ Haggerty because I like Allen Breed and Trey Holloman a lot. And Allen Breed has really not been talked about much at all. It kind of doesn't help that he was the very first portal edition. So he gets talked about first and then all the other ones sweep in behind him. But Allen Breed's a very talented scorer. And unfortunately, we don't really have much of that to see from him last year because he missed the majority of the season and only played 2 games. But in those 2 games, he was averaging 17.5 points. One of those games was against Alabama. And I mean, Alabama didn't play much defense, but the point remains, McNeese going on the road to play Alabama and Allen Breed scoring 17 points in that game. He's proven that he can score on a high level. And previously coming from Providence to McNeese, he's already been at the Power 5 level in college basketball with the Friars. So State, and I've seen a lot of predictions that he might even be a starter. I guess we'll see what happens with PJ Haggerty, but I perceive that Allen Breed will be a very talented and much useful scorer on this team, whether he's starting or coming off of the bench. And then that leads me into Trey Holloman. And I've spoke at lengths about Trey Holloman. I'm extremely high on Trey Holloman, and I'll just give you my pick for the backcourt as of now. For me, it's Trey Holloman. And I think his toughness and his grit that he plays with and him being a team-first guy. And I always go back to his little scuffle that he had with Michigan where Michigan wanted to stand on the Spartan logo, and that did not sit well with Holloman because it's a Michigan State tradition that you kiss the Spartan. I believe it's on senior night. That's a guy that's going to ride for his team, for his coach, and for Wolfpack Nation. And we all know we love players like that. You love a player that has an edge to him, ride or die for the red and white. That is Trey Holloman. And then you get into all of his talent as well. Having to kind of play behind some guys up at Michigan State, he's never been perceived to be the guy quite yet. I think that door obviously now opens for him in Raleigh. He'll be, in my mind, he'll be almost the undisputed point guard one. And I know that PJ Haggerty wants to play point guard, but I don't see any reason they don't play off of each other. Trey Holloman's a talented distributor. He's excellent at throwing the lob. And when you bring a guy like Paul Mbia to Raleigh, it might be show stopping, as we like to say on here. So I'm very high on Trey Holloman. I think you're still scratching the surface of what he can do. But now let's talk about if you do land PJ Haggerty. How does that affect your grade, Kenton?
Hey, period. I'm on the verge of saying A+, but I'll leave it at an A because, again, I like our first two gets a lot. Love the pickup of what Haggerty does with these guys because you bring in multiple guys that can score. You bring in the distributor. So you don't just bring in three of the same guy, in essence. You're not bringing in, it's all these guys who can pass the ball. Okay, great. Who's the finisher? Who's the guy that's going to fill up the bucket? Who's, great passes is good, but who's going to do that? And then you don't bring in guys where you're like, there's only one ball. Please stop. Do not dribble the air out of it. I am begging you. You get a good mix of the two. And at the end of the day, when I think about, who would be my favorite if we're including Haggerty in here, it has to be Haggerty because Haggerty, and this is not me rhyming on purpose, people, but Haggerty has gravity, okay? He has what makes defenses collapse around him, focus on him, that frees up a Jerry Dang for an open three, that frees up a Paul Mbia in the dunker spot, that frees up a Breed cutting off the wing or hitting a mid-ranger or a 3M. So that gravity forces defenses to adjust in a way that, with all due respect, that might have been my biggest offensive gripe of last year, which, again, I say this was not Keats's fault in terms of what the players did or did not do. Now, granted, roster management always comes down to the head coach, but in terms of what the players did or did not do, there was nobody with gravity. There was nobody that teams fear where they were like, all right, we've got to collapse the paint. This guy's touching the ball now. And actually, no, let me take that back. There was only one player with gravity, but undersized slasher without much spacing around him makes it tough. We've got spacing with a guy with gravity. That's a big deal. That is a massive, massive deal here.
Obviously, there's no spot between an A and an A+, but PJ Haggerty is a home run addition to this team. And he was the number 3 scorer in the NCAA this past season. Another little fun stat that adds to, I guess, his gravity, to Kenton's point, he also attempted the second most free throws in the country. So this is a guy that gets a lot of his points from getting to the foul line and then converting. And that's not something we've had a ton of at NC State over the last handful of years. We've never had, I know we like to make fun of RJ Davis being a little bit of a free throw merchant, but when he's on your team, when you're looking at a guy like PJ Haggerty,
basketball. Yeah. It's just smart ball to get to the line.
You might open your mind a little bit to it, but no, his ability to be a pure scorer, whether it is getting to the free throw line or hitting the open shot, he's not a dead-eye three-point shooter, but obviously he can harm you from out there as well, and that's why he averaged over 21 points per game. He takes this team to another level, and we've been saying that consistently because it's true. And there's a reason why he was asking so much money is because his value is very much there at the top to match. So if you do land a PJ Haggerty, your backcourt almost instantly becomes an A at absolute minimum. Now transitioning into the front court, you have Quadir Copeland from McNeese State, Terrence Arsenault from Houston, Jerry Dang from Florida State, Colt Langdon from Butler, and then most recently you have Paul Mbia joining you from France. So Kenton, what is your overall grade so far of the front court?
I'd have to give it the same thing. A. I mean, this is a group that gives you everything. You talk about, I need a front court that's going to stretch out defenses. I can't have, a Twin Towers look where everybody's around the paint. That's a problem. May I interest you in some Jerry Dang? May I interest you in nearly 40-point three-point shooter at 6'9"? Perhaps that's nice for you. That's good for you. Well, I don't want all finesse guys. I need me some muscle down there. I need me a big fella. I need me a big hoss, as they say down there that's going to mix it up a little bit. It's going to be physical, but he also needs to be able to run because that's the new name of the game. May I interest you in some Paul Mbia, perhaps? Maybe that's more of your speed. Maybe that's more of your taste. Well, I want me some home cooking. I want me somebody that's from the area that knows what it means to be great for the pack and how different it is to have success here. Hello. Can I tell you about a young man by the name of Coach? And then you talk about the showstopper aspect of it. You talk about experience. You talk about a winner. You talk about a guy that is willing to dive on the floor for that loose ball, is willing to do whatever it takes to win. Not only did we get one, we got two of them in Quadir Copeland and Arsenal. Granted, they get it done different ways. And here's the bonus. Here's what puts them in A+ territory for real, for real. Quadir Copeland is a forward that can pass the ball extremely well. He is an excellent distributor wherever he gets the ball. If he has it in his hands on the break, you're not uncomfortable and thinking, oh my God, what is he doing? Oh, please get it to a guard and get out of the way. You don't think that. He's not that type of guy, and he'll mix it up with you. He's the type of guy you hate to play against, but you love him when he's on your team. Arsenal comes from a Houston program that literally has a loose ball diving drill that goes viral every single year because it's insanity. It's unheard of. It's damn near football territory where you're just like, hey, go get it. The loose ball is out. You better fight, scrap, and claw to get it. This is a front court that dreams are made of because, boy, you just don't see groups like this, especially considering we're talking about year 0 right now. All these guys bought into the vision. Absolutely love it here. A+ for me.
I'm going to sit for right now at a B+, and obviously that is subject to change once they get onto the floor. But when you're looking at Arsenal, a lot of what Kenton was just talking about, him coming from that Houston program and playing for Kelvin Sampson, he's also going to have an edge to him. He's going to play with a certain toughness. And that's a player that I might be the highest on the entire team because he was a top 35 kid coming out of high school a couple years ago, had to sit behind some talent at Houston, then got injured his sophomore year. So he has not yet reached his max potential. And if he's fully healthy, you might just see that happen this year at NC State. So his ability to play a multitude of positions as well. He can play the 3. He can also play the 4 because he's a 6'6" forward, but his athleticism and tenacity, you can put him anywhere and he will find a way to succeed. So that's my favorite player in the front court, but getting into the rest of them, love what you had to say about Quadir Copeland as well. The junkyard dog, as I like to call him. He can even ball handle if it comes to that. Now, probably not his primary function, but his past that we've seen him at Syracuse and McNeese, he has an extraordinary assist rate for a 6'6" forward. And so that's just another, I guess, secret weapon you can have in Quadir Copeland there. You look at Paul Mbia, that guy who's probably the biggest unknown on the team, but if he hits, that's another guy that will completely change the outcome of this team this season. And there's some NBA mock drafts that have him going in the late second round. So a lot of his talent is still raw, but putting him in the system with Will Wade and letting him run with the rest of these guys who are super, super athletic, that will only help his development. It's a B+ for me right now, but that can, almost instantaneously change to an A after the first couple weeks if we see them get onto the floor. So there's certainly a lot to love here. And as we were saying there, PJ Haggerty, we're not even done yet. We also have another international forward that is reportedly in the fray, but still waiting for that announcement to go public. It's not really a great kept secret anymore. Everyone's been asking me names specifically. So the name has obviously been out there for quite some time now. But once PJ Haggerty and international player X commit to NC State, the grading will most certainly go up. PJ Haggerty takes his team to another level. Paul Mbia takes his team to another level. And the depth that international player X will also provide will take this front court specifically to another level. So there's a lot to like here. Will Wade is getting it done. It required some patience, but you're seeing Will Wade and Andrew Slater get it done in year 0 / year 1 here. And that's not even counting in Paul McNeil, Matthew Abel, and Zamika Wilkins. We'll save those conversations for a later date, but that is our grades as of right now for both the front court and the back court in the transfer portal. Coming up next, we're switching gears and touching on football. The football transfer portal grades for both the offense and the defense. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Wednesday sponsor is Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and so many other categories. These are experts that are ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them to top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Posting a job is both free and simple, and within a day, you can have multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps you find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale any business efficiently. Head on over to Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork, Upwork, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Only on Upwork.com. Middle portion of our Wednesday show, switching gears and talking football transfer portal. We're going to give you our grades as of today for both the offense and the defense for what they have grabbed in the transfer portal so far. So first, we'll start with the offense because it is a much shorter list than the defense is. You have a tackle in Teague Anderson from Utah State, a guard in Brock Stooks from North Carolina A&T, the tight end Cody Hardy from Elon, and Jalen Grant, who's an offensive guard from Purdue, and that's it. Only 4 takes on the offensive side of the ball. That is in large part because we didn't have to take many players on the offensive side of the ball. The retention rate was very high there, which is a good thing. But Kenton, give me your grade for the 4 guys that we did get on the offensive side of the ball.
I want to say A-. I want to say B+, A- in that territory. I like all these guys, and Grayson and I specifically talked about offensive line depth was something that was a little bit of a concern coming into this next year because we had some big-time players leaving in terms of Big Belton. So, you had some holes to fill. There were some holes to fill there. You needed more depth. And don't get me wrong. We trust Coach Touche, but he has to have something to work with. We all know It's never your X's and your O's. It's your Jimmys and your Joes. And so, having better Jimmys and Joes in this thing is good. And I'll tell you what, the more film I watch on Anderson, the more I like him. The more I'm like, that's a plug-and-play right tackle today. He's a guy that I'm like, that's your starter at right tackle. You move Ja'Carius Peak over to the left, let him go make some money, which, by the way, I'm surprised that he's not talked about more heavily as one of the guys to watch for the 2026 NFL draft because, he was putting guys in seatbelts last year. He was, hey, come on with me. We're going to escort you out the club. You're wearing a hat here and you didn't pay the fee. But in all seriousness, that is a, good gets all across the offensive line. I didn't see us needing too much in terms of skill position. Honestly, Grayson and I both talked about it last year. The rotations were too big. We had so many good guys. It was like, hey, you've got to kind of narrow this down and ride your playmakers. And so, we weren't expecting anything there. We've got our QB1. Thank God a certain school whose hand signal might look like this did not tamper with our quarterback who's from the area. But,
hey, man, don't tempt them. Don't tempt them now.
You're right. But in all seriousness, we pretty much were set everywhere. So I'm happy with this. I'd say A-, B+ right in that area.
Yeah, I'm going with a B+ because I do think coming into this portal cycle, your number one priority was to shore up that offensive line and some of the voids being left behind. If this season is going to hinge so heavily on offense like we anticipate that it will, you have got to be able to protect CJ Bailey and establish an effective run game so you can get Hollywood Smothers going. So obviously the staff went out and understood that because their first couple gets were all on the offensive line. And to your point about Teague Anderson, I've heard some positive buzz about Teague Anderson, even with the lack of media involvement this spring. So obviously that will be a very good sign of things to come. And I've also heard a lot about Cody Hardy, the tight end. We have Justin Jolie. He's going to be your main explosive player at the tight end position, but Cody Hardy as a run blocker might be a difference maker on this team specifically. And I guess also if you use Cody Hardy in some packages to throw him the ball, that makes guys like Justin Jolie and your wide receivers that much more dangerous. So I'm at a B+ for now. That was a big need going out and getting offensive linemen, and they went out and did exactly that. So you had a need and you filled a need. Not a whole lot more you can do there when you bring back virtually everyone else. Now on the defensive side of the ball, we picked up linebacker A.J. Richardson from Norfolk State, cornerback Jaron Sensabaugh from Missouri, corner Jamel Johnson from Temple, edge rusher Trey Thomas from Temple, Edge rusher Sterling Dixon from Alabama, who got injured. He had some type of surgery, so maybe put an asterisk on that one. You picked up a safety, J.J. Johnson from Georgia State. You picked up an edge rusher and Kean Sloan from Utah State. Edge rusher Sebastian Harsh from Wyoming. Linebacker Kenny Soares from Northwestern. Joseph Adedire from Texas Tech. And then most recently, Brian Nelson II, a corner from North Texas. Kenton, give me your grade on the defensive side of the ball.
The corner from North Texas saved this group from getting a grade that barely was getting a degree there. I would say a B. I would say a B. I wanted to say in the B minus C plus range, but let me tell you something. At the end of the day, I judge these players, or I judge this portal not by what I think the players will be, by how aggressive I believe they went after their needs. And Grayson, you and I both talked about, after the mass exodus we saw in the 11th hour, that who could have predicted that? Who could have seen that coming? It's hard to prepare for that type of thing, especially when multiple guys who did exit when they did were already committed to one-pack NIL and everything. It just was like, what is going on? What's happening here? But I'll say they did a good job of addressing these. We talked about edge rusher a lot. You got some depth pieces. You got some guys that could potentially have, hey, this is a dangerous guy off the edge type of juice. We talked about help in the secondary being needed. Instant impact player from North Texas. Instant impact player. That young man is going to be special right away. And you've got some young guys that I think if they stay in the program for a little bit will develop nicely as well in the secondary. So the only thing that I'm like, I'm worried. And shout out to my good brother in the bond, Kenny Soares. Yo to the good noobs. But a little bit more help at linebacker. I was looking for a little bit more help. Even if Kamal Bonner didn't leave, I'm looking for a little bit more help at linebacker. With him leaving, I'm definitely like, all right, we need to be, filling that out in a meaningful way. So that's why I would say a B. I'd leave this at a flat B because, again, they were almost in that B minus C plus territory. I'm going to leave them at a B, but I got my eye on you.
Yeah, I'm at a B minus to a B because I think kind of in the same breath, you had some very specific needs like linebacking play. You had to go replenish your DB room and also get some edge rushers as well with a guy like Davin Van moving on. So you had some needs, and to the best of their ability, they've gone out and filled some of those. I do think that they've missed on a couple guys, like the linebacker Harrison Taggart, who committed to Cal. I believe it was the end of last week. That feels like a pretty substantial miss for NC State because you do need a lot of linebacking help. But like we talked about, I think it was last week, they are going out and getting it done in the portal. Like they're going out and making additions. It'd be one thing if you had a bunch of needs and you're getting outbid left and right for basically everyone that you wanted to get. And so that's certainly not the case. They are making these additions. I mean, it also depends on what it all looks like when it comes out of the oven in late August. But I think for what you needed to go out and get, they've identified that and they've done everything they can. I mean, they've added, 5 different edge rushers just in the portal, not to mention 4 DBs, and that's not even touching on the 2 linebackers they added as well. So a heavy emphasis on the defense is what they had. They went out and took care of it. And now we just have to wait and wonder how it will look on the field once the season kicks off. So yeah, I'm at a B. I'll say B minus. B minus for me. I think they've missed on a couple guys, but all intents and purposes, they've gone out and done what they've needed to do. Coming up next, we're going to round out our Wednesday show with NC State baseball's last midweek game of the season. They're actually still currently playing as we're recording this, so we don't even know how this game is going to end. They're currently in the lead, but right after this, we'll tell you what went down in Wilmington. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Wednesday sponsor is FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and simply cannot miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on all of the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever before to play smart and win big. Who could believe the way that the Celtics blew that lead in the fourth quarter and watched the Knicks come back to take game 1? If you were in on the action, you might have won big. But if you're looking to get in on that action, how would $200 in bonus bets sound to you? If you're new to FanDuel, now is the perfect time to sign up. You can head over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If that wins, you'll receive $200 back in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Last couple minutes of our Wednesday show, now celebrating a Pac-9 victory over UNCW on Tuesday evening, a 14-4 win here in the midweek, and it was one that they absolutely had to have. And losing to UNCW last week in the midweek, it kind of slid our RPI down a little bit too far than we'd like it to be. Then obviously you go to Miami and have a rough weekend down there. This is a game under every single circumstance you had to win, not just for your overall record, for your hosting chances, momentum going in to see the Dirty Foot Club coming up this weekend. 14-4 victory, exactly what we needed. And I'll start here with Shane Van Dam. A little bit of a spot start coming off of an injury, a year removed from Tommy John surgery. So it's very good to see him back on the bump. Velocity looked pretty good. Maybe control is not quite there yet, but kind of what we were talking about yesterday, just getting him back in the fray is a very positive sign as you inch closer to postseason play. The stars of the show for this one were Luke Nixon, the 3-run bomb to tie it back up in the top of the second to regain some momentum. Alex Sosa was 4 for 5. Ladies, we know you love him. Another great game for Alex Sosa, getting hot at the right time. And maybe the unsung hero is Carson Kelly, coming out of the bullpen, 3 innings scoreless, kind of, stifling UNCW in the middle part of that game while NC State took control. Got the job done, and now we're on to bigger things this weekend, the Dirty Foot Club.
Yeah, this is what we expected to see, right? Literally, the funny thing is, literal thing I said about that pitcher was, hey, put 2 touchdowns on him. Pretty funny.
Right.
Pretty funny. But in all seriousness, this is what you expected. This is what you wanted to see out of this team. Get back to winning. Get back to being different. This team feels different because this team is different. After every single one of Elliott Avens' trips to Omaha, the team missed the tournament next year. Now, while we have not locked up hosting, you know what I can say that we've comfortably locked up? A tournament appearance. I can comfortably say, hey, that's in our back pocket. So with that in mind, you are now at a point where you're saying this team is different. We have to continue to be different. We have to continue to say, even when people believe in us, we're still going to dominate. Even when we move up those rankings, we're still going to dominate and do what we do. And, what better way than to show up and whoop the wheels off the Dirty Foot Club this upcoming weekend? You handle business in the midweek, but in the words of the late, great Kobe Bean Bryant, job not finished.
Yeah, this was perhaps like the exact definition of a get-right game for NC State. And as bad as last week was, they looked more like themselves tonight. My one gripe in this game, and there is only one, I think Jacob Duden was left in there for far too long. Needing him to throw additional pitches in the 8th inning while you're up 8 runs is nonsense to me. That you have one of your most important series of the entire season, and not even coming up on Friday. It starts on Thursday. We're 2 days away from starting this important series. I don't need Jacob Duden throwing up 8 against UNCW on the road. You can bring in like me, pull me out of the crowd and put me on the mound. You need to use every inconsequential arm you have up 8 on the road before a series like that. So regardless, they got the job done. Tristan Potts came in and closed it down. 14-4 victory, just what the doctor ordered. And now, welcome to Hate Week. Dirty Foot Club series begins on Thursday. It's actually Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. They're skipping on Saturday. 3-game series. We talked about what that means for NC State's hosting chances. You probably got to win at least 2 out of 3. Cherry on top is if you sweep them over there in Dirty Footland. But the real work begins yet again on Thursday. If you want to be a regional host, the work is still right in front of you. And to get it done over those guys in light blue makes it that much more sweet.
Yeah, it's of vital importance to win this. Obviously, it's Hate Week. You always want to beat those bozos, but you also have an opportunity to get a series win over a top 5 team. Need I say more? This team has played up to the best of competition all year. Well, let me not say all year, but since the early year, since about mid-season, keep that going. You are playing a team that hates you. They think they're better than you. They think that you've got nothing for them. Leave them in shambles and walk away with another series win over a top 5 team. Make it real hard on anybody to explain why you shouldn't be hosting. Don't leave it up to chance. Take it. Snatch and grab it. This is your opportunity to snatch and grab a bunch of RPI points all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, we've seen NC State with the ability to play with anyone in the country all season long, even through the ups and downs. When they're on, they're on. And you're going to need your A game, obviously, against the Dirty Foot Club. They're number 4 currently in the country, but that shouldn't matter. I mean, maybe, at least we hope that last week was maybe the 1 week you just had to get out of your system before you get red hot yet again. Let that begin, well, Tuesday night, but more importantly, let that begin on Thursday, opening the series. Rom-Com Dom will be on the mound Thursday night. Let's get right back to it. Get right back in the win column, set the tone early and win game 1, and then we'll find a way to take the rest of the series from there on out. So took down UNCW on Tuesday, and now we want to take down the Syndicate on Thursday. So RPI points are at stake. Hosting opportunities are at stake. A massive weekend is ahead for NC State baseball. That will do it for us here on Wednesday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Give us your grades so far for the basketball portal haul, the football portal overhaul, and what you saw go down in Wilmington on Tuesday evening. Anything else you have on your mind, drop that in the comment box as well. Mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll catch you right back here tomorrow on Thursday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.